Hi, and welcome to the 10th and final episode of Learning to Edit in DaVinci Resolve. My name's Darren Mostyn, and in this episode we're going to be looking at delivery. So over the next few minutes we're going to look at delivering to the web, burning in data, project backup, media management, but first of all let's just have a quick tour of the delivery page. So to enter the delivery page you click down here, and what you see in the top left corner is our render settings area. So this is where we decide which codec and which resolution we're going to render out in. Next to that we have our viewer. This is where we view the final edit and grade. We have over here the render queue. This is where we store the jobs that we're going to render. So we might do one for web and one for broadcast, for example. And down in the bottom you have your timeline. So this is the timeline from the edit page, and this is the timeline from the color page. You also have audio meters down here if you want to just check your audio. So let's look at delivering to the web. Up in the render settings you've actually got a couple of presets here. So we've got a YouTube preset and a Vimeo preset. So it's really very easy. If I go to the YouTube one, for example, we can just pull down here, choose our resolution, so let's go to 1080p. Down here we can choose whether to do the entire timeline, or maybe you just want to do a mark in and a mark out area. We'll do the entire timeline. So these are already optimum settings for using YouTube, so all we have to do now is tell Resolve where to put the file. So press browse, and we'll create a new folder, and say OK. Then we just give it a file name. We're going to do a single clip here, so it's going to be a single flattened clip of all our edits. And then all we have to do is say add to render queue. And by adding to the render queue, we've created our first job. So that job will be to render at YouTube settings the entire timeline. The nice thing with Resolve is we can stack jobs in the render queue before we actually start the render. So let's add another job to the render queue and create a broadcast master. So coming away from all these presets, you see there's quite a few in there. We can go to custom. Again, we're just going to create a single clip, not individual clips. Browse to our directory, I'm happy there. Let's give it a file name. ProRes Master. Click on the video. So we're going to choose QuickTime. So you've got a whole list down here. And then in QuickTime codecs, we're going to choose ProRes 422HQ, 1920 by 1080, 24 frames per second, and just add that to the render queue. So now we've got two jobs stacked, and all we have to do now is say start render. Resolve can often render out in much faster than real time, but it does depend on the specification of your system and also how heavy your grading was. You could also render out a version with burnt-in timecode, otherwise known as bitsy. So if you want to do that, just go to the color page and then click over here on data burn-in. And now what you can do is choose what property you want displayed on the screen. So let's take record timecode, for example, and we'll create a custom text as well. You can change the size and the positioning of all these things. And then what I'm going to do is create that as a custom template. Say OK to that. And now what I do is take these off, and then we can apply those settings in the delivery page when we like. So back in the delivery page, and this time I'm going to select a slightly lower resolution YouTube setting. So 720p, give it a file name. So click on the video settings tab, and if you scroll down you'll see in advanced settings, click on there, and down at the bottom you see data burn-in, and if we select the data burn-in preset that we created in the color page, we can apply that and say add to the render queue, start the render, and there you can see it's rendering out a low-res version with our data burn-in. So we should have 3 files created now. So now we've delivered our 3 master files, what we need to do is back up the project. It's really easy. You just press Command E or go to File, Export Project. Give it a name and just say Save. So it's important to know when you export a project that you are not backing up the media. What you're doing is exporting out the timecode, the project settings, the grades that you've done, any stills, lookup tables, that sort of thing, but everything except the actual media itself. So if you wanted to export with media, you'd use the media management tools. If you want to import a project, just go to File, Import Project. If you just want to quickly back up the whole project, all the stills, everything that's in there, and all the media, even if it wasn't used in your sequences, you can go to the Project Manager, right-hand click on your project, and just say Archive, and it backs up the project, all the stills, all the edits, and the media in a brand new folder. This is also a good technique for getting all your media and a project onto a completely new system. So let's take a look at the Media Manager in DaVinci Resolve. You'll need to be in the Edit page to access it. And I've just highlighted the sequence I've been working on. and you say File, Media Management. And then up comes a new dialog box for us. So in here, we're basically managing the media of our entire project, our timelines, or clips. And all you have to do is decide whether you want to copy, move, or transcode. So with copy, you're copying the project, the timeline, or the clips. With move, you're physically moving the original media to a new location, and that destination is here. And if you transcode, what you're doing is you're transcoding the project, the timelines, or the clips into a new codec. So if you've been working with raw files, you could easily transcode that using the transcode tool into any other codec you want, so 42HQ for example. So let's start with the entire project. So if I said copy all media to this destination here, the entire project would be copied. The current project size is 53.55 gigs, and obviously the new size will be exactly the same. Now if I said copy only the used media files, this should come down. Yes, it's now 47.59 gigabytes. When I copy that media across, you can also get Resolve to automatically relink to the new files. So the new files will be sitting in this destination, not the original destination. Okay, let's take a look at the timelines. So if I want to copy my timeline to this destination, this is the settings I take. And at the moment, I've only selected one out of the 20 timelines that I've got. So if you scroll down here, you can add a few more timelines to this option if you want. Obviously, the more timelines you have selected, the more media you're creating. At the moment, I'm copying only the used media files, but that's the entire clip. So when we were editing, obviously we're trimming down these clips to be much smaller where our in and out points are. So if I say copy and trim, and I put a 24 frame handle on there, so I've got 1 second either side, you see that this file size, the new size, has come down to well below 8 gigabytes now. So I've got far less data to actually deal with now. And again, in the timeline, I could move or I could even transcode this. So if we go into the clip section, what this is dealing with is clips only, so it's not timeline specific. And this is a really easy way of transcoding clips from one codec to another. Once you're happy, just say start. So that's the last episode in our series of learning to edit in DaVinci Resolve. I hope it's really shown you the power of the editing side of it. Not only is it a fantastic color grading system, but the editing side is incredibly powerful. I've really enjoyed doing these tutorials, and I hope it's opened up a whole new world of editing for you. Thanks for listening.